Thank you for joining us for Responsible Restart Ohio for Consumer, Retail, and Services sector. This is presented by the Hardin County Chamber and Business Alliance. The target date to restart this sector is May 12, 2020. The information presented here is taken directly from coronavirus.ohio.gov. Please note, each business should build a responsible restart plan that includes answers to all of the mandatory requirements for your sector. We will present those in this presentation. While the restart date for this sector has been set as May 12th in general, there is a note in the Director's Stay Safe Ohio order that says currently closed retail establishments and facilities that will restrict their operations to curbside pickup, delivery, or appointment only, limited to 10 customers at any one time, may reopen effective May 1 at 11:59 p.m. Part 1. Mandatory requirements for employees. Ensure minimum 6 feet between people. If that's not possible, install barriers. Alliance note: if you're looking for barriers to separate your employees, contact us for a local supplier. Face coverings are required while employers and employees are on the job, unless any of the following apply. An employee in a particular position is prohibited by a law or regulation from wearing a face covering while on the job. A face covering is not advisable for health purposes. Wearing a face covering on the job is against documented industry best practices. Wearing a face covering violates a company's safety policies. There is a practical reason a face covering cannot be worn. Or an employee is sitting alone in an enclosed workspace. If any of these exceptions apply to your business or one of your employees, written justification must be provided upon request. Employees must perform daily symptom assessment. Daily symptom assessments should include taking your temperature with a thermometer and monitoring for fever. Also watch for coughing or trouble breathing. Require employees to stay home if symptomatic. Require regular hand washing. Place hand sanitizers in high contact locations. Clean high-touch items after each use, for example, carts or baskets. Recommended best practices for employees. Customers and guests should wear a face covering. They are not required to wear a face covering. Group employees by shift to reduce exposure. Part 2. Mandatory requirements for customers and guests. Ensure minimum 6 feet between people. Specify hours for at-risk populations, such as the elderly. You will need to provide signs so people know your hours. Place hand sanitizers in high contact locations. Ask customers and guests not to enter if symptomatic. This will be done with signs. Stagger entry of customers and guests. Recommended best practices for customers and guests. Face coverings are recommended while shopping or visiting. Post signs. This step is optional and up to the proprietor. Provide a health questionnaire for symptoms at the entry point. Provide face coverings upon entry. Where possible, accept customers by appointment only. Increase availability for curbside pickup. Consider suspending return policies. Part 3. Mandatory requirements for physical spaces. Ensure minimum 6 feet between people. If not possible, install barriers. Post social distancing signage and disinfect high contact surfaces hourly. Clean merchandise before stocking if possible. Establish maximum capacity, for example, 50% of the fire code. Post your maximum capacity with signage. Discontinue self-service food stations and product samples. Food courts remain closed. Recommended best practices for physical spaces. Close once a week for deep cleaning. Maximize available checkout space to promote social distancing. For example, space customer lines with floor markers. Use alternate registers. Use contactless payments when possible. Increase capacity for delivery and curbside pickup. Mandatory requirements for confirmed cases. Immediately isolate and seek medical care for any individual who develops symptoms while at work. Contact the local health district about suspected cases or exposures. Shut down the shop or floor for deep sanitation if possible. Recommended best practices for confirmed cases. Work with local health department to identify potentially infected or exposed individuals to help facilitate effective contact tracing and notifications. Once testing is readily available, test all suspected infections or exposures. Following testing, contact local health department to initiate appropriate care and tracing. Contact information for our local health department. The Kenton Hardin Health Department can be reached by email at khhd@hardinhealth.org or by phone at 419-673-6230. All of the information in this presentation was taken from coronavirus.ohio.gov. It can be found under COVID-19, Responsible Restart Ohio, Sector-Specific Operating Requirements. Additional helpful information can be found at coronavirus.ohio.gov and at cdc.gov. If you have questions or concerns about the policies contained in this presentation, please submit them to us and we will share them with the Governor's Office. You can email your questions or concerns to alliance@hccva.com. Thank you for joining us, and please stay safe as we begin the Responsible Restart Ohio.